mean, I think most people in Scotland, they care about history, they care about stone destiny, but they care more about what's going to put food on
Yeah.
the table for
Okay.
their children. It was, I mean, there were some people marking it, some people celebrating, but it was just another day other than the two big gatherings of people in Glasgow and Edinburgh that we had yesterday. So we had a big march for independence, 20,000 people, and then another demonstration in Edinburgh of republicanism, speaking against the system where we have monarchic leaders, and that had about 3,000 at it. Other than that, as far as I understand it, the shops were busy and people were just out doing their normal business, apart from a few.
So
Sorry.
do you think that there is quite a kind of a cultural difference? I mean, I have to say, I was up in Scotland about 2 weeks ago doing debate night, and I was in Stirling. And in the audience, and I chatted to a few people, there wasn't a huge amount of appetite, which I was quite surprised about. There was one lady who was very, very keen on it. Do you think there is a sort of cultural divide from England and from Scotland on things like this?
I think there is, and it's not helped by, as Nick said, there wasn't much acknowledgement of Scotland yesterday, but maybe that is because there's not an awful lot of connection between a lot of Scots and the monarchs. Well, now that we have a new monarch, I don't know, but yeah, it
He's
just
very fond of Scotland, though. He loves coming up to be near Balmoral, and of course Dumfries House. He's done a lot of good work at Dumfries House.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very fond. I mean, lots of tourists are very fond of Scotland. There's a difference between being fond of it and actually doing something that makes a difference. But to be honest, I don't even think it's a really negative thing in Scotland. I think we've just moved on, and we've just moved on probably because and I'll give you the connection in it, probably because of the referendum that we had in 2014. Because in the run up to 2014, we had people who normally wouldn't be discussing politics at all, discussing in a multiple different fora, what sort of Scotland they wanted to see. So that whole conversation
Okay.
really kicked off then. And I think we've just moved on from having this system. I will say, I'll have a lot of constituents who do want to keep the royal family, and that's absolutely perfectly entitled to have that view. But I don't think it's necessarily a terribly negative thing.
Okay.
A lot
And
of people against it, but a lot of people just weren't the slightest bit impacted by it yesterday.
And Anne, just a final question, just about the politics of it, because obviously you've got these two big rallies happening. The SNP is very firm that it wants to break away from the United Kingdom. It was interesting because Humza Yousaf has called for a debate on the future of the monarchy, and he was there yesterday. And of course, he also, passed on the stone of destiny that was used for the coronation. And a former First Minister, Alex Salmond, was quite cross about that. He said that, he would have ordered a ring of policemen to guard the Stone of Destiny, and he would have stopped it being sent to Westminster. And he says that Charles will be the last king of Scotland. Do you think, given what Alex Salmond said, do you think Humza Yousaf has done the right thing by letting the Stone of Destiny come down to be part of the ceremony and attending the event himself?
I think he had to attend the event because Humza Yousaf is not the SNP's First Minister. He's not the Independence Movement's First Minister. He's Scotland's First Minister, and he has to represent everybody. And I think he did do the right thing. And I don't object to anybody going along to that. I just object to there being a system where we have a monarchy in the first place. But I don't think that's quite correct what Alex Salmond said. I took my mum once to this thing that the Queen was at because my mum, even though she's a Republican, had always wanted to meet the Queen. And she was absolutely furious, and she still talks about it all these years later. She said that Alex Salmond hogged the Queen and nobody else got looking. It was quite the royalist then, so I'm not entirely sure he would have said, no, I will defend this Stone of Destiny. It suits him to say it now, but, I mean, I think most people in Scotland, they care about history, they care about Stone of Destiny, but they care more about what's going to put food on
Yeah.
the table for
Okay.
their children.